You all right?
Well, thank you.
Do you know what order you've got on?
We've got Catherine as the first horse, then it's a King's Troop
Great gun.
horse, and then we've got A.W.A.M.O and then A.W.A.M.O. That's
Are you happy for our guys to take them off?
I will probably assist in the second horse coming off because
Great
apparently
gun.
it can be a little bit of a nuisance coming off the box.
So Catherine's first.
Yes.
With those new arrivals, everyone wants to welcome them. They don't know where they are. They probably think it's another normal day for them. They're probably waiting to go out onto a parade ground, or if they're, like say, being a musical ride or the drive itself, they're probably thinking, where's all the people?
It's a long way from the busy streets of London to this quiet yard in Buckinghamshire.
Well, we've had a bit of a journey, that one, hasn't it?
Life is going to be very different for these new residents of the Horse Trust. Until now, it's been a busy mix of drill and performance, and all from a young age.
These are the horses which have given their careers and their life to the military. So majority, the 3 out of the 4 are their age between 23 and 24. So they've probably given 19, 20 years service to the country. It's what I was expecting. There's a few names which I remember, especially from the Household Cavalry, and actually they look quite well.
Earlier in the day, while we were waiting for these guys to arrive, we spotted this chap in training. He's not a welfare case, he's not as old as he looks either, but he's been retired from the military at the age of only 7.
He was bought as probably a 4 or 5-year-old for the Household Cavalry on the purchasing commission, and through his basic training, where they would start off with the backing process in Windsor, they go through that programme of being able to get to a point in their training where they are comfortable on the roads. Yeah. And I know he did go to London, it's like a lot of horses find it very hard to move from the environment of Windsor into the centre of London. Okay. So things, not just the traffic, but dare I say the taxis, red buses, and even the revolving advertisements on the side of the bus stops sometimes affects the horses and it sends them back in their training.
So easily spooked on the streets of London, and our camera is pretty scary too.
I'm okay if he's okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
With Wiggins, he found it very hard to stand still. He could be stood still for nearly 50 minutes, maybe an hour on Trooping the Colour, and you need to be safe. And unfortunately, he did fail because it became more and more of a problem.
So Wiggins just didn't make the military grade, but he's been taken in here and put to work as a companion for welfare cases and to be used for training.
The Horse Trust has been caring for working horses for 131 years. It was actually created when its founder, Anne Lindo, read Black Beauty, and she decided she wanted to create a home for exhausted horses. Well, one person who knows a lot more about this is the Chief Executive of the Horse Trust, Jeanette Allen. So Jeanette, tell us a little bit then about the Horse Trust of the 1900s. What did it do?
Well, Anne Lindo's vision was to be incredibly practical. She understood that the real tragedy she was seeing in the state of working horses in London, bearing in mind the city ran completely on horsepower, was really about poverty. It wasn't about cruelty. It wasn't a cab driver's fault, for example, if he had to work an exhausted horse every single day. His family had to eat. So she came up with this fantastically practical solution where we would loan a healthy horse to, say, a cab driver, and then take his on respite for 3 months, give it grass underfoot, farms in places like Cricklewood and Acton, believe it or not. Yeah. They'd see the vet, they'd see the farrier, and 3 months later they'd bring our horse back and take theirs away, and theirs had a whole new lease of life.
It's not a million miles from what happens today. Back to the new arrivals who are getting their first look around the yard.
I've worked with the 3 Household Cavalry horses, A.W.A.M.O, A.W.A.M.O and Catherine. However, Catherine was the first horse that I rode when I did riding school. I'm glad that she's finally got retirement. although she's been a great service. She's been part of the band. The mounted band would always use Catherine. She's spent time at training when we were young soldiers, learned how to ride on her. So she's done pretty much all the jobs going.
It'll be easy days in the countryside for Catherine and her friends throughout retirement. And from the start, it's top-notch care.
So we'll have a listen, see what the heart's doing. Resting heart rate at the moment is 48. It's probably just a little bit higher than normal. They say it's all strange. She's seeing what's going on around her. Go on, good girl. When you look at her from behind, she's not even in her hindquarters. There's a little bit of disparity in the movement. I'd probably look at her again in 2 weeks' time, have a better look, unless somebody said, oh, she's struggling to get round the field. And obviously you assume that they're not going to, because they're going to be kept together, that they're not going to have a fight amongst each other if they come from the same unit. They should be used to each other.
And after a few weeks of settling in, it'll be the trip everyone dreads. Even horses can't avoid the dentist. Household Division veteran Tarnish has been here a while.
On average, most horses are recommended to be done every 12 months. But if you're talking about competition horses or performance horses, they will be done every 6 months. Here, most of them are done every 6 months.
Feeling a little woozy, Tarnish is led away to recover from his sedative. Meanwhile, at the other end of the yard, another former military servant, 24-year-old yeoman, is getting new shoes.
So each shoe is a certain size, and we get the appropriate size for the horse and then shape it up to the individual. The horses get older, you know, they become more demanding, sort of with their foot conformation and lameness issues, as well as sort of becoming stiff. You know, some of them are quite difficult to pick their feet up. So they're the issues we have here.
Leg and foot trouble are big problem areas for ex-military horses who've spent a lifetime pounding the roads. Like Falstaff, who's currently holed up in the barn recovering from injury. Mark has a soft spot for this gentle giant, who he purchased for the military way back when.
That was to give a little bit more of a stamp of horse to really test some of the instructors, the young potential instructors, to give them something different to learn on. And also to see if those sort of breed could do the job of some of those ceremonial commitments. And one of them, Falstaff, from the King's Troop, who's here now. And yeah, it was nice again to find out that he was coming. And such a lovely big horse. And yeah, I remember like it was if yesterday we'd only just purchased him.
But there's no being shut away for the new arrivals. They are headed to an 8-acre field all to themselves for the first 2 weeks.
It is a big adjustment. They come from a concrete city in London, and now all of a sudden they're out in the open space. They only normally get between 4 and probably 6 weeks grass a year. So they will have some difficulties, and one of the biggest difficulties is them not just being out probably for 2-3 weeks. It's the 24/7 all year round. So they will find it hard, and we have had 1 or 2 horses which have not adapted to it, and there's some anxiety there, and they pace up and down. Basically to say, why are you leaving me out? If I have a bit of grass, I come in after a couple of hours or a couple of days. So it does take some adjustment.
This latest intake means of the 137 horses here at the Horse Trust, 35 of them are ex-military, just like Mark.
I've been able to have a good career in the military, and they've been a part of my career, and now, again, with me being here, I can make sure that their, I suppose, remaining days are well cared for.